Hello, guys. Welcome back to another exciting weekend edition of Pious Football, where I bring you latest in transfer news. I also discuss tactical analysis of games and also bring you pertinent issues around football that you don't hear on mainstream European media. Now, this weekend has been kind of a bit weird and challenging for me personally, but I was contemplating on not coming doing an episode this weekend, but I think my sheer passion for football and the love I have for you guys, that I want to bring quality content to you guys, led me to do this video. It's evening here. It's a bit rainy outside, but we still have to go do what is necessary. So after a flurry of very exciting games this weekend, I think it's only natural that I try and bring you all the updates and also talk about a few things about the games that came up, and then what we can look forward to in the upcoming weekend. That is, midweek games in the Carabao Cup in England. I think cup games coming up throughout Europe, and also for the games coming up next week. So let me just go right in and start at the camp of Manchester United. They won 1-0 away at Burnley at Turf Moor. It was supposed to have been a difficult game because of the poor form of Manchester United, who had been on a three-game losing streak. And we won a difficult game. John Evans, did really well. Who, shockingly, he was announced in the starting lineup after apparently Lisandro Martinez sustained an injury during training prior to the game, and rather unfortunate. But he seems to have a bit of bad luck when it comes to injuries. I think that he needs to work on his overall fitness. I think that the way he goes into tackles overall, I think he needs to change or reevaluate the way he plays, because we can't afford to have our main centre backs, Rafael Varane and Lisandro Martinez always out injured. But the story is that of John Evans. I mean, he came into the lineup, and when I saw the lineup, I was a bit scared, to be honest, considering our form, especially when we go away in the Premier League. But John Evans, turned out to be a master class by Eric Ten Hag. John Evans on the day, I would say that it was kind of a Benjamin Button phenomenon. Those of you who are not familiar with Benjamin Button, it's a movie, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button by Brad Pitt. It's about a movie about a guy who was born quite old, and then as he grew, he became younger. So basically, John Evans, became a teenager on the day. He seemed very composed in defense and provided the essential assist that gave us that 1-0 win at Turf Moor. The talking point, also another talking point I want to talk about, is the fact that of course, and I also want to add that this was John Evans's 200th game for Manchester United. So yeah, big plus for him right there for his United career. I'm sure he never really thought that it was going to happen, that he was going to play for Manchester United again. He spoke after the game and said that he's really excited about the prospect of playing for Manchester United again, and that his kids didn't even believe that he used to play for Manchester United. So I'm happy for him. A lot of us didn't think it was a wise choice for John Evans to be signed by the club, but we were made to understand that he was supposed to come in to be a sort of a stopgap defender for in case of any emergency, and also to provide competition for the central defenders in training. So, and also for the under 23s, also provide cover for the defenders in the Premier League 2 teams in the under 23 squad. So, it's good to see that he's actually making the most of the opportunity he's been given. And he's very grateful to Eric Ten Hag. He said that Ten Hag has something going on. He believes that he will turn things around. So that's what we are all hoping for. Manchester United fans. Also, I want to say that we need to continue the win. Ten Hag needs to continue winning. The knives were being sharpened behind his back, getting ready to stab him because of the poor run of form. And it's good to have a win. You can understand the importance of this win because, after the game, inside sources tell us that Ten Hag went back to the pitch at Turf Moor. He went back to the pitch with John Murtough, who is the football director. And they stood there for a while talking, and then they pat their backs and shook hands. So I think that they understood the veracity of the problem at Manchester United, and then they kind of really feel relieved that a win has given them a space to breathe and then reanalyze their match preparedness for the next game, which is against Crystal Palace in midweek in the Carabao Cup. So, like I said, Eric Ten Hag needs to start winning. We have a very easy fixture list coming up. I think we play Crystal Palace midweek in the Carabao Cup at home. And then we play Crystal Palace at home in the Premier League, I think on Saturday. And then we play, we go to Europe. I think we play Galatasaray also at home. And then we play another team. I think that will probably be Brentford at home. Yeah, so I think that these games are games that we should be able to win to get the groove back, and I think that could set up well for the season for us if we want to have a very productive season. Otherwise, like I said in my previous episode, Eric Ten Hag might find himself out of a job by the end of the year. So yeah, that is it. Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro also showing leadership qualities. It is said that the two players actually rallied the team at the dressing room. They rallied the team, they spoke to the team, and then they preached togetherness. And then also I think that Ten Hag needs to get the players on board his philosophy very fast. It seems to be a case of players not really fully being able to comprehend what he wants them to do. Like I said in my previous episode, Manchester United is a club full of world-class players, and so it shouldn't be finding it difficult to communicate your football philosophy to them. So if there is a problem with playing according to the coach's tactics, then it shows that either the tactics are not clear enough, or the players are struggling to execute your plans on the pitch, which in this case shows that the training that you are doing is not being effective. And it shows in the game against Burnley. We played the least possession we've ever played under Eric Ten Hag. It shows a sort of cautiousness in approach play. And of course, it showed in the lineup. If you look at the way we played, it was a 4-2, although it was a 4-2-3-1 by the team sheet that came up. Bringing in Hannibal Mejbri to provide more cover in midfield for the defense. I think that it still looked like a 4-3-1-2, if you ask me. I think that he played a 4-3-1-2 where you have because Mejbri was playing as a number 10, but he wasn't really a number 10, if you ask me. The way his movement was mostly playing as a central midfielder, sometimes even as a defensive midfielder. You could see that Scott McTominay sometimes was a bit ahead of the midfield, advanced in midfield more than Hannibal Mejbri, but in the 4-2-3-1 shape, you could see that McTominay and Casemiro were the two central defensive midfielders, and then Mejbri was the number 10. Bruno was playing on the right wing, which I still say is still an uncomfortable position for me to see Bruno. I think Bruno is more effective playing through the middle. So I think that he needs to find some balance. Now that Amrabat is back, hopefully he can play Amrabat and Casemiro and bring Bruno Fernandes back into that number 10 role, and then play either Rashford or Garnacho in the left or right wing. So I think going forward, we need to sort out our midfield, because I don't like the shape at Burnley. The shape at Burnley made us play in a way that seemed like we were very scared of the opposition, and we were playing so extra cautious. We can't play like this in every game. So I think that the manager would have to get back to the drawing board and try and see how to make sure that his philosophy is being adapted very well by the players, because as things stand now, it's not really looking good for us. And I think that there's another problem I want to tackle with Manchester United, is the fact that there are still dressing room leaks, and I'm not comfortable with that idea at all. Mind you, remember that there are players in the team that should have been sold in the summer. Eric Ten Hag wanted to sell Maguire. He wanted to sell Scott McTominay. He wanted to sell quite a number of players. Some of them were able to move. Fred made the move. Van de Beek still in the club. But the English players, and I mean Sancho and Maguire, are going to be a bit problematic. We know about Scott McTominay as well. We know that Eric Ten Hag, the captain Bruno Fernandes confronted McTominay after the game against, I think, Bayern Munich in the dressing room. Now, where did this leak come from? We also know for a fact that there are leaks through a reporter in the Sun in the UK that some players are now complaining that Eric Ten Hag is picking favorites in the team, and that some players feel that Eric Ten Hag is not reprimanding certain players. He's only focused on accusing certain players of non-performance, and they believe that he's picking favorites, and they don't like that idea at all, and that is sort of damping the mood and offsetting the togetherness at the dressing room. But for me, these leaks, where are these leaks coming from? That is my problem. My challenge is, where are these leaks coming from? They cannot obviously come from, are they coming from the officials? These officials are Ten Hag's officials. If they sabotage Ten Hag, they also lose their jobs. So it is definitely not a leak from Eric Ten Hag. Now, mind you, during social tenor, reports came out that an inside investigation, it started, I think, from the era of Mourinho, and then it got into Solskjaer's tenure. And then there was, after Solskjaer was sacked, and then I think it continued even when the manager from Germany was brought in. I think the one who is now coaching the Austrian national team, I've forgotten his name. He was a disaster, honestly. So many leaks coming out, and then the internal investigation conducted by the club after Eric Ten Hag came showed that Paul Pogba and Jesse Lingard were the leaks. Okay, so these two players were leaking information to the press to try and advance their own personal agendas. Okay, and everything. I think Solskjaer made some comments to that effect in his interview that he had recently. So I think that overall, Manchester United need to deal with the leaks. I suspect Jadon Sancho and Harry Maguire as the leaks that we might have to deal with now. If there's any leak coming from the dressing room, it will be from Maguire and Sancho camp. Okay, they are the ones who have a bone of contention to pick with the manager. Maguire feels disrespected. Obviously, he might have felt that privately. He will not say it publicly. Having the captaincy taken from you and then being demoted to a fifth choice center back. I mean, Sancho, we know the problems he has with Eric Ten Hag. So I mean, I think that we need to deal with the leaks. The Sun keeps reporting detailed, information that is happening in the United dressing room, and that doesn't look good for us at all as an organization. So we need to deal with the leaks. Okay, so now I want to talk about Manchester City. They won 2-0 it's business as usual. Playing against Nottingham Forest at home at the Etihad Stadium, it was always going to be an easy win, but it wasn't easy as it looks, because this is a Nottingham Forest team that has really improved over the course of the few weeks from last summer. They've bought some very good players, and what made it even difficult for Manchester City was the fact that Rodri had a red card, in the game. So, I mean, early on in the game, he had a red card, so it kind of offset the way City played. They kind of went a bit defensive. It was an interesting game, but City, showed their quality. They have this system of play that is very, direct and very rudimented. They've done it several times in the training grounds. You could see the togetherness, the fluency, the telepathic understanding between the players. And if you look at the goal that Phil Foden scored, the 1-2 between Bernardo Silva and then Phil Foden, and then how the goal was scored, you could see that it was a training ground move, that they executed in perfect, seamless, run. So for me, I think the Manchester City are the team to beat. They are currently unbeatable, still unbeaten. They've won all their games. And they are the clear favorites, as always, as I always keep saying. Guardiola made a comment about the Rodri red card and said that Rodri needs to learn from the experience, which is quite just as it is. I mean, it was surprising to see that Rodri actually did what he did. I thought he was kind of has a calm demeanor. Rodri is not known for such violent outbursts, but Gibbs White sort of seemed to have pricked his side in a very uncomfortable way, to the point where he had to react the way he reacted. But so he's going to be out for the next three games, and he's going to miss the game against Arsenal. So I'm sure City have enough personnel to deal with Arsenal as it stands. So yeah. City keeps winning. Arsenal drew at home to not Tottenham Hotspur, the London derby. It was a good game of football, end-to-end stuff. Like I said, Tottenham are really a very amazing team this season. They are playing so well under their new manager, and Postecoglou. And the Tottenham manager made a comment about the penalty that was awarded to Arsenal, and Bukayo Saka converted that penalty. He said that these days, when he looks at the rules pertaining to penalties, he feels that you only have to play handless defenders to avoid penalties. But of course, he was just being sarcastic there. But some of these rules are quite a bit confusing sometimes, but it was a penalty. Nonetheless, it was a penalty. But my talking point from this game comes from the fact that Arsenal are beginning to feel the effect of mounting injuries. Okay, they have Martinelli out. They replaced him with Trossard, and now Trossard is also out. So I mean, Gabriel Jesus played from the left wing. And then they have an injury to Declan Rice, which is it's going to be very difficult for them, because Partey is already out. You have Declan Rice also going out, so, and they had to replace him with, I think the Italian midfielder from Chelsea. Oh my goodness! This evening it's not really my mood. He caused a goal. Madison, took a ball from him, and then dispossessed him at a very dangerous place on the pitch, and then laid a pass to Song to score the equalizer to make it 2-2. So overall, I think that Arsenal will be disappointed. The fans actually are very disappointed with this. The way the game turned out. They thought they were on their way to a win, but Tottenham had other ideas. I think Bukayo Saka was voted man of the match, but I think Song is the man of of the match for me. He always delivers. He's delivered so well for Tottenham Hotspur this season. Mind you, he's the captain. After Harry Kane left, people thought that Tottenham were going to have a difficult time, but surprisingly, they are having the opposite. They are having, the most amazing league stats in many years. So, good. I think draw away for Tottenham Hotspur. Mind you, they are not playing in Europe, so they are always going to be fresh for the league. And maybe like that, like I said in my previous episode, probably going to be favorites for the top four after December, but we can't say that now. Let's see how things will turn out after December, and then we can make our predictions for top four. Chelsea lost at home to Aston Villa. Chelsea, where do I even start? So many talking points. I said before the season began that the signings that Chelsea are making, they seem to be signings that are made for the future. But what about now? I mean, they bought Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez in January, but these players are not players who will give you goals. They are players who give you stability in midfield. But even that seems to be far away. A mirage, because the midfield is not really stabilized. There's so much pressure on the team. From the middle, to the defense, they look lost, honestly. And I think that is why manager Pochettino told the team in a press conference, the post-match press conference, that the team needs to grow up. I don't know what he means by that, but I think he's talking about a mentality, a mental shift right here. There has to be a mental shift, because he feels like the tactics is okay. He feels that what he deploys should be good enough to, get a win or at least a draw against Aston Villa. They lost their previous game they drew against Bournemouth. So I think he believes that the tactics should be good enough to win games, but the players' mentality is not really right, and then that is affecting the results, and probably that is the reason why he says that the players must grow up. But aside the injuries that Chelsea are having, I think that his lineup seems a bit suspect to me sometimes, but I'm not going to go into that. What I want to say with this game is that, Chelsea need to give the manager time. There's been so much changes in the team, and when you have so much change, it causes a lot of disruptions in team play. Okay, so I think that they need to give Pochettino time, although he needs to start winning games, because they are 14th on the table now. So they need to start winning games, because if not, I think he might get himself sacked, which kind of doesn't make a point, because I mean, who are you going to bring? I mean, is Chelsea even an attractive team for managers right now? Because they know that it's a volatile job. If you go in there, you're going to get sacked. It's kind of a graveyard for managers these days. So I mean, they should give Pochettino time to work. Let's see what happens. I'm sure he will improve the situation, and the team will get back playing well. Liverpool won 3-1 at home to West Ham. It was a game that a lot of Ghanaians were looking up to because of Mohamed Kudus. Mind you, he had a brace on Thursday evening in the Europa League. He scored a goal that was given as an own goal, but later credited to him by the Europa League board. So he had a brace. So people thought he was going to start this game at Anfield, but he was left on the bench. He probably came on. I didn't watch the game, but Liverpool won. I think this is their 6th win in all competitions. So, which is good. I mean, they've had a really tough year, but this season it looks like they've started well, and it looks like also they sort of bringing back this top mentality that they exhibited in the 2018-2019 season. So, I mean, all good news for Liverpool fans. The front three, all of them scored. Darwin Núñez on the score sheet, Salah on the score sheet, and I think then Van Dijk also returned to the lineup after serving his red card suspension, and then also injured. I think Alexander Arnold was replaced with I think Joe Gomez, who is also good at playing as a right back. So overall, I think that Jurgen Klopp is in a good place, and I think Liverpool are going to do really good this year. Mind you, West Ham are also a top team. They are really playing well this season. So to beat West Ham 3-1 is kind of really shows the type of kind of mentality you have. I think Klopp made a comment during one of his press conferences that Liverpool are sort of they are having this mentality monster kind of thing coming back. So hopefully it serves them well. A lot of contenders for the top four this season, and I think Liverpool are actually in a really good place to be in the top four. Barca in Spain, Barca had a massive comeback to beat Celta Vigo 3-2. Lewandowski had a brace. Now Cancelo coming up with the winner. Cancelo proving a very important buy for Barcelona. Mind you, he's on loan from Manchester City. João Felix also on loan from Atletico Madrid, also provided an assist for Lewandowski's first goal. Overall, Barca are in a good place. Xavi is having kind of building something special, and it's no surprise that he's been rewarded with a new contract that runs until I think 2025, if I'm correct. So Xavi obviously has the confidence of the Barca board, and the Deco and the president Juan Laporta are very happy with him. Mind you, Deco has done a fantastic job with the kind of signings he's had, and I think they've renewed his contract as well. So as the sporting director, so it's all good at Barcelona right now. Good news everywhere, and I think Pedri is also close to coming back from injury. Unfortunately, I think Frankie de Jong also is out for some time, and he was replaced. But Barcelona are very well stacked in midfield right now. So an injured Frankie de Jong, although it's a big disappointment, I don't think that tactically it will give a headache to Xavi so much. So I think Barca are going to win the La Liga. Looking at how things are going now, in respect to the result that just came in this evening from the Madrid derby, Real Madrid losing 3-1 to Atletico Madrid. Goals from Morata scored a brace, and then Griezmann with another goal. If you look at the game, I think Carlo Ancelotti post-match analysis said that he takes the blame for the lose. Of course, he has to. If you look at the lineup, the game where you are playing a very physical team in a derby, Atletico Madrid are very physical, one of the most physical teams in Europe. And then you play Toni Kroos as a defensive midfielder. And then Modric as a number 10 and an arrowhead in a diamond midfield. You're going to be overrun, and that's probably what happened. I didn't watch the game, but they were completely overrun. It looks like if you look at the way they conceded 2 early goals in the first half, and then an early goal in the second half before they could even react, coming back. So overall, I think that Ancelotti fielded the wrong team. Like, also, another talking point is what I have always said, that it was about time. It was just a matter of time before it caught up to them. What am I talking about? The fact that Real Madrid did not sign any proper striker, okay? And then it showed, if you look at the lineup, he chose to put Joselu, the only natural number 9 he has, on the bench, and played Jude Bellingham and Rodrigo as the attackers in a 4-1-2-1-2 formation. Bellingham is not a striker. He might be scoring goals, but I think much of the reason why he's scoring goals is because he's playing as a number 10, and the defenders are still struggling to deal with him because of his movement. Playing from the number 10 role, he has a free role everywhere. So it's kind of very difficult for a defender to follow him around or mark his exact movement. Okay, that was been the reason why Bellingham has been scoring so well. But if you play him as a striker, now he becomes a target for defenders because they know where his movement is going to be. And that is the problem. And it shows in the game. He didn't score, and I don't think he made any serious impact. But I think that Carlo Ancelotti will learn from this. I don't know what he was thinking, putting Tchouaméni on the bench. Obviously, he wanted to rest him, but you don't rest your good players, your top players on a derby. Vinicius Junior was also back from injury, but unfortunately, he ruled himself out of the game for some sort of gastrointestinal infection that he had pre-game, so he was taken out of the team. So now Madrid are third. Atletico Madrid are 4 points behind with a game in hand. So I think Barca are on course to win their another La Liga, to defend their La Liga crown. Although it's early days yet, but I think that Madrid don't have what it takes in terms of personnel up front to challenge Barcelona. But of course, still early days yet. Now in Italy, Juventus lost to Sassuolo. Surprising result. Like I think I was saying my last episode, I was only saying that Juve are going to have a good time with Federico Chiesa back from injury, and then also with the striker Vlahovic finding his feet again. And then they go off and then they lose to Sassuolo 4-2 away. Very disappointing result, but let's hope that they will find themselves a way to bounce back from this disappointing result. Milan won 1-0, Inter won 1-0. I think Roma also won. Lukaku also on the score sheet. So, I mean, proving himself worthy of the massive loan move that he made over the summer. And also, I think, Napoli also drew. Napoli drew, not having really a good time this season. Still kind of trying to find their way. Osimhen was substituted and he showed a very angry reaction to being substituted. I mean, if you are a top striker in Napoli and you need goals and you are substituted, it shows that the manager doesn't think you are doing anything on the pitch, and I think that sort of worried him a bit, and probably the reason why he reacted the way he did. But I'm sure that he will sort himself out with the manager, and then they can get going, because it looks like Inter are flying right now, and they are on course to win the Serie A. And then I think in PSG also they had the Classica this evening, just about the time Madrid were playing. PSG won 4-0 over Olympique Marseille. Hakimi with a wonderful free kick, beautiful free kick, and then Goncalo Ramos with a brace, and then Kolomani also recording his first goal for PSG after his 95 million euro move from Stuttgart. Frankfurt. So overall, I think that PSG are doing really well after their 2-0 win over Dortmund over in the Champions League. Just on Tuesday, they come back and win 4-0 over Marseille. So I mean, Luis Enrique is finally finding his feet and kind of finding the rhythm of the team, and I'm really happy for Goncalo Ramos, because I think that he's going to be a substitute striker. So I mean, if you can come in and then score 2 goals, then it shows that the manager can rely on you, and when anytime he wants to call upon you. So yeah, good move for good result for PSG. Confidence booster definitely for their next game, which is probably going to be a cup game, and then probably going to rest players for that, and then play I think AC Milan in the Champions League. I'm not really sure about that. And then Bayern won 7-0 against Bochum. I mean, business as usual in the Bundesliga where Bayern is concerned. Harry Kane with a hat-trick, although I'm hearing that there are some issues related to one of the goals, so I'm not really sure it's going to be a hat-trick credited to him. We have to wait and see. I'm not really informed about that just yet. So that's just about the roundup of all the weekend games. I want to talk a bit about one or two news stories that came up during the weekend. Sven Mislintat, a German sporting director by profession. He was with Dortmund. He left to join Arsenal, and then he was signed by Ajax last summer, but he has been sacked. The news coming in is that Sven Mislintat has been sacked by Ajax. I mean, he was appointed by Edwin van der Sar. At the time, he was very positive about the guy, but I think that losing Mohamed Kudus, losing the Mexican defensive midfielder, I think Alvarez, okay, and then losing Anthony and Lisandro Martinez plus the coach, they fail to defend their Dutch crown, which Feyenoord won the league last season. And if you look at this season, PSV and Eindhoven are really doing well. Ajax are not really in a good place. So I think that they believe that his signings has not really helped the team, and probably disillusioned board members at Ajax feel that it is time for them to part ways with Mens Lensstad. So tough job for sporting directors and managers these days. So let's hope that he gets some positivity in his next job, and then we wish Ayas all the best in their next sporting director search. Man City wants Zaire-Emery. Zaire-Emery, teenager from PSG. I'll do a special episode on this guy because for me, he is like the next best thing coming out of Europe, the next big talent. Zaire-Emery, an attacking midfielder, can play as a central midfielder, playing in a midfield three in the PSG team with Ugarte and Vitinha. I mean, these three guys are doing really well, and Zaire-Emery is on top of the pile in terms of dribbling, positional play, able to move in tight spaces, control balls in tight spaces, pick out passes after such a tender age of 17 years old. Starting for PSG and bossing the midfield is not going to be it's not an easy feat, and it shows the kind of talent that he has. And it's no surprise that Manchester City are interested in signing him. Mind you that PSG wanted to sign Bernardo Silva over the summer. They've not given up that hope of signing Bernardo Silva. There are some information that I'm getting, not really verified yet, but there are some close quarters within the PSG board that feel that Dembele is not really going to be a success. They feel he's struggling a bit to impact the game. Mind you, he has a lot of dribbles and stuff, but they don't feel he's making any impactful contribution. He has yet to make an assist or score a goal ever since he signed for PSG. So they feel that they still need to sign Bernardo Silva. They feel Bernardo Silva is the future of the PSG team from the right wing. And they are going to persist in signing Bernardo Silva. And Manchester City are in no mood to lose Bernardo Silva after Riyad Mahrez left. So they feel and that is the view of Pep Guardiola, that if Bernardo Silva wants to leave and he wants to join PSG, then PSG must bring Zaire-Emery as part of the deal, which I think is sort of telling PSG indirectly that we don't want to sell Bernardo Silva, because they know definitely that PSG are not going to release Zaire-Emery to any team. So I think we can do a touch and go and then move on from this rumor. Mbappe was injured in the game against Olympique Marseille this evening. He got injured and then they brought in Goncalo Ramos, who came to score a brace. So that's basically the only bad news for PSG this evening. Mbappe went out injured. Hopefully it's not a serious injury, because after the injury, he came on to play, and then he was I think he played until the 60th minute when he signaled the bench to substitute him, and he left. So he walked off the pitch himself. So hopefully it's not a serious injury, and he will be back very soon in their next Champions League game next week. And then also my last story for today is at the camp of a sports magazine that has brought out the most paid athletes in the world of sports. So they picked each sports category and the highest earner in that category. Okay, so in football, Cristiano Ronaldo was the top dog. He was earning somewhere around 175 million a year. Okay, 175 million a year. Huge money that we are talking about here. $175 million a year. I think Lewis Hamilton is also the top dog in the Formula One business, the Formula One sports. Lewis Hamilton pocketing $50 million a year for Formula One. So I mean, if you look at the distance, the gap in wages with football and Formula One, which is the next big sports that earns a lot for athletes. Okay, so after football it's Formula One and then golf. But if you look at the difference, 50 million for Lewis Hamilton, 175 million for Cristiano Ronaldo. That shows how football has really taken over the global football brand. Is huge. It's huge, and billions or probably trillions of dollars now going into football across the globe. It shows the kind of impact that football and footballers in general have on the population and also on the financial world. And then I think Novak Djokovic is in the top dog in the tennis world. The highest earner in the tennis world, 47 million US dollars. And then Steph Curry in the NBA is the top dog in the NBA, the highest earner in the NBA. I think he has this running contract with Puma. So I mean, it's amazing. An amazing contract, earning him 42 million US dollars a year. Okay, so that is the highest paid athlete in the NBA. Okay, and it follows in that order. If you look at some of the other sports, the monies are very small. I think UFC in there, you can see 1.42 million, which is quite very small if you compare it to some of the earnings that footballers in. And you look at the physical demands of being a UFC fighter. It's quite interesting, kind of how these things go. But I think it has to do with demand. Okay, so the demand and supply. Okay, so because if there's a high demand for the product, then obviously there's going to be high supply of money going into for the athletes. And if I think many people find UFC an attractive sport, kind of a bit violent for me. I myself don't like UFC, very violent sports. So for me, I think that it is just as it is. The demand is actually fueling the supply. So basically that's just about it. Thank you very much for staying with me on Pious Football. This is a weekend episode, so as usual it's very lengthy, but it's packed with very crucial information, entertaining information that I think that you would love. So subscribe to my channel if this is the first time you are watching, or you've been watching and you've not subscribed. Please get an email address and subscribe to Pious Football. Like the video and let me hear your comments. Thank you very much for staying with me. Bye.